Alright, unless Dr. Wily has an even more evil twin brother who we also have to fight, this is actually the end. See, only one path to the skull. And of course, one path and the start of the stage with a whole lot of power-ups to collect can only mean we're coming up to the boss rush. So, yeah, whoa, jeez. Getting out of this situation. Yeah, I forget if I've given my overall opinion of boss rushes in any of the previous Mega Man games, but I usually don't mind them too much. Obviously, it's a game-to-game basis. In Mega Man, it's kind of tricky because you have to basically just set aside time and just fight all of the bosses of the game in a row. So, you know, it's the part you know that's going to happen in every Mega Man game, so it's kind of predictable. And it's always the tough part that happens before you even get to fight the final boss. But I think it makes sense in Mega Man games just because the beginning of a Mega Man game lets you go to any stage in any order you want. But the boss rush gives you time to just sit down and actually utilize the boss weaknesses as intended. Speaking of boss weaknesses, I don't think Drill Man's weak to his own weapon. He's not Metal Man. So, the wiki actually lists some reasons as to why certain bosses are weak to certain weapons. Apparently, for Drill Man, he's weak to Dive Missile because it can trace his heat signature even when he's underground. Unfortunately, that doesn't translate into gameplay. Dive Missile won't hit him when he's digging, which sucks because, man, would it make this battle less tedious. The extra damage is nice, but he's got too many iframes. Of course, later Mega Man games probably would have made that true. You know, it would have actually let you hit the bosses, and people probably would have complained about that. Because people don't like the animations that happen when you hit bosses with their weaknesses in the other games. And I kind of get that. I feel like weaknesses are a little too debilitating in later Mega Man games. I'm not totally opposed to that line of thinking. Though that being said, Bright Man should be completely screwed over by his weakness, but no. I absolutely forget if I mentioned this when I fought Bright Man initially, but part of what gave me so much trouble in this iteration of the fight is the fact that he uses Flash Stopper at certain increments of HP, and by using Rain Flush, it actually just gets him to those points. So, like, if I had just stuck with a Mega Buster at the start, shot him once, and then started using Rain Flush, I would have been fine. I did not know that going into the fight, though. Anyway, Bright Man is weak to Rain Flush because it shorts him out, of course. I feel that's one of the more obvious ones. So Skull Man here is weak to Dust Crusher because apparently fragments of it get lodged in his internal mechanisms because he's bones. I kind of like that. Technically speaking, I guess that could be true for a lot of different Robot Masters, but Skullman is bones, so it makes sense. I also like how Skullman is the Robot Master that Cossack doesn't like, A, because he's combat only, but also because it's totally Wily's aesthetic. So of course he doesn't like him. I don't think that Dive Man actually has a reason to being weak to Skull Barrier, though. There's no in-universe explanation, which is too bad. Toadman, on the other hand, I mean, he's weak to a lot of things, like just getting shot normally, but like, Drill Bomb kind of speaks for itself. You're taking a drill to a toad. That's not something you should do in real life, but I would hazard a guess and say drills are bad for toads, because they're not good for a lot of things, survival-wise. Also, apparently, Dustman is weak to Ring Boomerang because it jams his vacuum, which just makes me think of, like, accidentally vacuuming, like, one of those plastic rings that you give to your cats as toys, because, you know, you just take it off like a milk carton or whatever, and a cat will play with that more than an actual cat toy. So, yeah, that's my line of logic. That's what I think of. Ringman, tricky as always. I don't think there's any in-universe explanation as to why he's weak to Pharaoh Shot. I guess rings are just weak to sand. Pharaoh Man. I think he's just weak to Flash Stopper because he's old or something. I don't know. There's no actual, like, explanation for this one either. It's just, Pharaoh Man is extremely weak to the passage of time. You know, you use Flash Stopper, and he's just stuck. I can't think of any actual good reason, I'm sorry. Alright, and that's actually it. We are done with the boss rematches, so... it's time for the Wily machine. So this one's pretty tricky, because he attacks pretty rapidly. But if you stand right about here, he can't actually hit you. So, be careful timing your jumps. He basically just fires 3 times and then stops, so, you know, use that opportunity to jump up and use Ring Boomerang. He's also weak to a fully charged Pharaoh Shot, but I'd conserve that if I were you. And... time for his second form. This one's a lot trickier because he just starts firing. There's no specific spot to stand that is safe from his attacks, and he gets real close in, so you do not have room to dodge. He's weak to Drill Bomb. That's really the only thing he's weak to in this phase. Even a fully charged Mega Buster doesn't do much damage. And we managed to defeat Wily, but he got away again. And since he didn't bow to us, that means there's a little more left to do. This looks like it's supposed to be a room with items in it, but it's not, and I don't know why. I would appreciate having items. So yeah, the only enemies here are these guys. If you need any weapon energy, like right here, then just grind with these guys. So, definitely have Pharaoh Shot full. You're gonna want this, because it's pretty good for the final boss. This song kicks ass. So yeah, it's a pretty short loop of a song, but it's super catchy. Very exciting for this final battle. Pharaoh Shot's good just because you can do something like that, and that. I think he's also weak to Ring Boomerang, which is good because that's another weapon that allows you to hit him no matter where he is. I mean, you can't hit below, like right there, but otherwise, you've got a pretty good chance to hit him with this weapon. And it does a lot of damage, so we made pretty short work of him. Which is good, because again, very short loop of a song for the final boss. I would hate to get tired of it. And so, Wily escapes through the back door. This might be one of the most pathetic attempts to take down Wily we've ever had. And there he goes. Well, I guess we saved the day, in that we fought Cossack until Proto-Man waltzed in, revealed the kidnapping plot, and then Wily was just here in a snowy countryside, and we beat him up, and then he left. So I guess that's it for Mega Man 4. So yeah, Mega Man 4. I really like this one. I think the bosses are pretty fun, except Brightman. They've got some pretty solid designs, mostly good attack patterns. They can still be a little tricky to deal with in ways that are maybe not always the most fun, but yeah, overall better than 3. I love the special weapons in this game. They're all really fun to use. Again, I really wish the fortresses encouraged you to use those, because they don't at all. Because it's such a fun tool set to use. Which is one of the reasons that 4 is up there as one of my favorite classic Mega Man games. And of course, the Mega Buster just changed the series completely. Charge Shot is an aspect of pretty much every Mega Man game, all thanks to Mega Man 4. And it's weird because apparently at the time, people thought it made the game too easy, but I think it was a really important change to give players a way to, do damage with their starting tool set, They have something at the start of the game that's not just a fairly weak weapon. So, even without the special weapons, it's fun to play the game. And you have some edge over, whatever boss you go up against at the start. You're not completely helpless without their specific weaknesses. That, paired with the slide, gives classic Mega Man a really good tool set. It's still fairly basic, but it's fun to use, and it's weird that some people just don't like that classic Mega Man has the ability to dodge and do damage, even without special weapons. But yeah, that's what in particular makes Mega Man 4 a little more unique. It introduced that. It has good tool sets. Aesthetics-wise, good graphics. The classic Mega Man games pretty much always improve in how they look. Good soundtrack, a lot of solid songs, no complaints. Story is a classic Mega Man story, so that's all I have to say about that. So, yeah, that's Mega Man 4. Solid classic Mega Man game. Definitely one of my favorites of the classic series. Weird that it took me several months to complete this one, but oh well. This has been Mega Man 4. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I'll see you next time for... I'd say whatever I do next, but it's gonna be Mega Man 5.
Now I've got your power!